Late one stormy night, a group of friends decided to grab a late-night snack at their local McDonald's. As they entered the dimly lit restaurant, they noticed something strange. There were no other customers, and the only person behind the counter was an elderly employee who seemed to be muttering to himself. Ignoring the odd atmosphere, they placed their orders and sat down at a nearby table. But as they waited for their food, they began to hear strange noises coming from the kitchen: whispers, footsteps, and eerie laughter. Uneasy, one of the friends decided to investigate. As they approached the kitchen, they were greeted by a chilling sight. The walls were splattered with blood, and a trail of it led into the darkness. Panicked, they rushed back to their friends, but when they turned around, they saw the elderly employee standing behind them, his eyes glowing with an unnatural light. With a sinister grin, he whispered, "You shouldn't have come here." Terrified, they bolted for the exit, but as they reached the door, they found it blocked by a wall of darkness. Trapped, they turned to confront the employee, but he had vanished into thin air. Desperate to escape, they searched for another way out, but no matter where they turned, they found only darkness and despair. And as the night wore on, they realized they were not alone. Something malevolent lurked in the shadows, hungry for their souls. To this day, no one knows what truly happened that night at the haunted McDonald's. Some say it was just a trick of the mind, but others swear they can still hear the whispers and laughter echoing in the darkness, a grim reminder of the horrors that lurk within. As the friends huddled together, their fear growing with each passing moment, they realized they had no choice but to confront whatever evil inhabited this place. Summoning their courage, they ventured deeper into the restaurant, following the trail of blood that seemed to lead to the heart of the darkness. The air grew colder, and the whispers grew louder, as if urging them to turn back before it was too late. But they pressed on, driven by a mixture of fear and determination. Finally, they reached the source of the eerie noises: a hidden door, concealed behind a shelf in the kitchen. With trembling hands, they pushed open the door and stepped into a nightmare realm unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls were lined with strange symbols, and a foul stench filled the air. In the center of the room stood a grotesque figure, its features twisted and contorted into a grotesque mockery of humanity. As the friends recoiled in horror, the figure spoke in a voice that chilled them to the bone. "Welcome, mortals," it hissed, its eyes burning with unholy fire. "You have entered my domain, and now you shall never leave." With a deafening roar, the creature lunged forward, its clawed hands reaching out to claim its prey. But the friends refused to go down without a fight, and they fought back with all their strength, wielding whatever makeshift weapons they could find. The battle raged on for what felt like an eternity, each moment more terrifying than the last. But just when all hope seemed lost, a blinding light filled the room, banishing the darkness and revealing the true form of their foe: a demon, summoned from the depths of hell itself. With a final cry of defiance, the friends unleashed their fury upon the demon, driving it back into the shadows from whence it came. And as the last echoes of their battle faded away, they found themselves standing once more in the empty McDonald's, shaken but victorious. But though they had escaped with their lives, they knew they would never truly be free from the horrors they had witnessed that night. For in the depths of darkness, evil lurks, waiting for its next unsuspecting victim to wander into its grasp. As the friends caught their breath, they exchanged uneasy glances, realizing that their ordeal was far from over. The demon may have been vanquished, but the sinister presence that lingered in the air told them that their troubles were far from over. With trembling hands, they made their way to the exit, eager to leave the cursed restaurant behind them. But as they stepped outside, they were greeted by a sight that sent chills down their spines. The once familiar streets were now shrouded in an unnatural darkness, the moon and stars obscured by thick clouds. Frantic, they searched for any sign of civilization, but all they found were empty streets and deserted buildings. It was as if the world itself had been swallowed by the darkness that had consumed the McDonald's. Realizing that they were truly alone, the friends banded together, determined to find a way to escape this nightmare realm. But as they ventured further into the darkness, they soon discovered that they were not the only ones trapped in this twisted reality. They encountered other lost souls, each one haunted by their own demons and tormented by visions of unspeakable horror. Some had been trapped for years, while others had only just arrived, their minds already on the brink of madness. Together, they searched for a way to break free from the darkness that held them captive, but their efforts were in vain. It seemed that no matter which direction they turned, they found only more darkness and despair. But even in the face of overwhelming odds, the friends refused to give up hope. For they knew that as long as they had each other, they would always find the strength to keep fighting, no matter what horrors awaited them in the shadows. As they journeyed through the endless night, the friends encountered strange and twisted creatures that seemed to be drawn to the darkness like moths to a flame. Some resembled grotesque amalgamations of human and animal features, while others defied description, their forms shifting and changing with each passing moment. Despite their fear, the friends stood their ground, facing each new terror with courage and determination. They fought with all their might, driving back the creatures that sought to drag them down into the abyss. But as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, their hope began to wane. The darkness seemed to grow stronger with each passing moment, its malevolent presence pressing down upon them like a suffocating blanket. Desperate for a way out, they sought out ancient texts and forbidden rituals, hoping to find some clue to unlocking the secrets of their prison. But the knowledge they uncovered only served to deepen their despair, revealing truths too terrible to comprehend. And as they delved deeper into the darkness, they began to lose themselves, their minds consumed by visions of madness and despair. They forgot who they were and where they had come from, their memories fading like whispers on the wind. But even as they teetered on the brink of oblivion, a glimmer of hope remained. For deep within the darkest recesses of their souls, they knew that as long as they remained together, they would never truly be lost. And so they pressed on, clinging to each other like beacons in the night, determined to defy the darkness and find their way back to the light. For they knew that no matter how long the night may be, dawn would always come eventually, bringing with it the promise of a new day and a chance for redemption. Once upon a time, in a small town nestled amidst rolling hills and dense forests, there stood an old and forgotten McDonald's restaurant. This McDonald's was like any other during its heyday, bustling with life and laughter, but as the years passed, it fell into disrepair, its golden arches faded and its once vibrant interior now shrouded in darkness. Despite its dilapidated appearance, the McDonald's remained a source of curiosity for the townsfolk, who whispered tales of strange happenings within its walls. Some claimed to have seen ghostly figures wandering the abandoned dining area late at night, while others swore they heard eerie laughter echoing from within. One fateful evening, a group of adventurous teenagers decided to investigate the rumors for themselves. Drawn by a mixture of curiosity and bravado, they gathered outside the old McDonald's, their hearts pounding with excitement and trepidation. As they pushed open the creaking doors and stepped into the dimly lit restaurant, they were immediately overcome by a sense of unease. The air was thick with dust, and the once cheerful atmosphere had been replaced by an oppressive silence. Undeterred, the teenagers pressed on, exploring every corner of the decrepit building in search of answers. But as they ventured deeper into the darkness, they began to realize that they were not alone. Strange noises echoed through the empty halls, whispers in the shadows, footsteps that seemed to follow them wherever they went. Panic began to gnaw at the edges of their minds, but they pushed their fear aside, determined to uncover the truth. Their search led them to the kitchen, where they were met with a sight that chilled them to the bone. The walls were splattered with blood, and a foul stench hung in the air like a thick fog. But before they could make sense of the gruesome scene before them, a voice spoke from the darkness, a voice filled with malice and hunger. "You shouldn't have come here," it hissed, sending shivers down their spines. With a sense of dread creeping over them, the teenagers turned to flee, but to their horror, they found the exit blocked by an impenetrable wall of darkness. Trapped and alone, they realized too late the gravity of their mistake. For within the shadows lurked a malevolent force beyond their comprehension, hungry for their souls and eager to claim them for its own. As the night wore on, the teenagers fought desperately for their lives, their screams echoing through the empty halls as they battled against the darkness closing in around them. But in the end, it was all for naught. One by one, they fell to the unseen horrors that lurked within the abandoned McDonald's, their bodies left to rot amidst the ruins of their shattered dreams. And as dawn broke over the horizon, casting its golden light upon the desolate landscape, the old McDonald's stood silent and still once more, its secrets buried beneath layers of dust and decay for all eternity. Years passed, and the old McDonald's became little more than a footnote in the town's history, a cautionary tale whispered among the locals to warn away any who dared to venture too close. But despite the passage of time, the darkness that had claimed the abandoned restaurant refused to be forgotten. Strange occurrences continued to plague the town, with reports of mysterious disappearances and unexplained phenomena becoming increasingly common. Some believed that the McDonald's had become a gateway to another realm, a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred and the forces of darkness held sway. Others dismissed such tales as nothing more than superstition, attributing the town's troubles to more mundane causes. But for those who had witnessed the horrors that lurked within the abandoned McDonald's, there could be no denying the truth. The darkness had not been vanquished, it had merely bided its time, waiting for the opportunity to strike once more. One stormy night, a young couple passing through the town found themselves drawn to the abandoned McDonald's, their curiosity outweighing their better judgment. Ignoring the warnings of the locals, they ventured inside, unaware of the danger that awaited them. As they explored the derelict building, they soon realized that they were not alone. Strange noises echoed through the empty halls, and shadows danced in the corners of their vision, taunting them with whispered promises of unspeakable horrors. But the couple pressed on, driven by a mixture of fear and fascination. They delved deeper into the darkness, drawn inexorably towards the heart of the abandoned McDonald's and the secrets it held. And then they found it a hidden chamber concealed beneath the kitchen floor, its walls adorned with arcane symbols and strange markings. As they stepped into the chamber, they felt a chill run down their spines, and they knew that they had stumbled upon something far beyond their understanding. But before they could flee, the darkness closed in around them, trapping them within its grasp. They screamed for help, but their cries went unanswered, swallowed by the void that surrounded them. And as the last echoes of their screams faded away, the darkness reclaimed the abandoned McDonald's, leaving behind only silence and despair. For in the end, there are some places that should never be disturbed, some secrets that should never be uncovered, and some horrors that should never be unleashed upon the world. Years passed, and the town bore the weight of its cursed legacy. The abandoned McDonald's became a forbidden place, avoided by all but the most foolhardy souls who dared to tempt fate. Yet, despite the town's efforts to bury the memories of the horrors that had transpired within its walls, the darkness that had taken root there refused to be forgotten. As whispers of the McDonald's cursed past spread beyond the town's borders, it became the subject of fascination for thrill-seekers and paranormal investigators alike. Rumors of hauntings and demonic presences drew curious visitors from far and wide, each eager to uncover the truth behind the town's darkest secret. Among these visitors was a renowned occultist named Dr. Alexander Blackwood, whose fascination with the supernatural had led him on countless journeys into the unknown. Hearing tales of the cursed McDonald's, he saw an opportunity to uncover the truth behind the town's troubled history and add another chapter to his storied career. Armed with his knowledge of the arcane and a fearless determination, Dr. Blackwood arrived in town under the cover of night, his mind ablaze with visions of the mysteries that awaited him within the abandoned restaurant. But as he stepped through the crumbling doors of the McDonald's, he felt a chill run down his spine, and he knew that he had entered a realm far darker and more dangerous than anything he had encountered before. Undeterred, Dr. Blackwood pressed on, his senses keenly attuned to the subtle energies that permeated the air. He explored every corner of the abandoned building, seeking out clues to unravel the enigma that lay hidden within its walls. And then he found it a hidden chamber concealed beneath the floor of the kitchen, its walls pulsating with a malevolent energy that sent shivers down his spine. As he stepped into the chamber, he felt a presence watching him, its gaze filled with hunger and malice. but Dr. Blackwood was not one to be easily intimidated. With a steady hand and a focused mind, he began to unravel the secrets of the chamber, deciphering the arcane symbols and unlocking the ancient rituals that lay dormant within. And as he delved deeper into the darkness, he uncovered a truth more terrifying than anything he could have imagined. The abandoned McDonald's was not just a place of death and despair, it was a gateway to another realm, a realm ruled by darkness and inhabited by beings beyond mortal comprehension. Realizing the danger of what he had uncovered, Dr. Blackwood knew that he had to act quickly to seal the gateway before it was too late. With a determined resolve, he called upon all his knowledge and skill to perform the ancient rituals needed to banish the darkness and close the portal once and for all. And as the last echoes of his incantations faded away, the darkness that had plagued the abandoned McDonald's for so long began to recede, its hold over the town weakening with each passing moment. With a sense of relief and satisfaction, Dr. Blackwood emerged from the McDonald's, knowing that he had saved the town from a fate worse than death. But as he looked back at the crumbling building one last time, he knew that the darkness would always linger in the shadows, waiting for the chance to rise again. Once upon a time, in the heart of a bustling city, there stood a McDonald's restaurant unlike any other. Nestled between towering skyscrapers and bustling streets, this McDonald's seemed to possess an aura of mystery and intrigue, drawing in patrons from all walks of life. But beneath its cheerful facade lurked a darkness that few dared to acknowledge. For years, rumors had circulated about strange happenings within the restaurant's walls, whispers of ghostly apparitions, unexplained disappearances, and otherworldly phenomena that defied rational explanation. Despite the warnings of the locals, a group of friends decided to investigate the rumors for themselves one fateful Halloween night. Eager for adventure and fueled by a sense of bravado, they ventured into the McDonald's, their laughter echoing off the cold, tiled floors. As they made their way to the counter to place their orders, they couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The restaurant was eerily quiet, with only a handful of patrons scattered throughout the dining area, their faces shrouded in shadow. Ignoring their unease, the friends ordered their food and settled into a booth near the back of the restaurant. But as they waited for their meals to arrive, they couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Their unease turned to terror when they heard a blood-curdling scream pierce the air, followed by the sound of shattering glass. Jumping to their feet, they raced towards the source of the commotion, their hearts pounding with fear. What they found was a scene straight out of a nightmare. The restaurant was plunged into darkness, the only illumination coming from flickering fluorescent lights overhead. Tables and chairs lay overturned, and the air was thick with the stench of blood and decay. As they cautiously made their way through the chaos, they encountered other patrons who had been drawn to the restaurant by the same sense of curiosity that had led them there. Some were huddled in corners, their faces twisted in terror, while others wandered aimlessly, their eyes vacant and hollow. With growing horror, the friends realized that they were not alone in the restaurant. Something sinister lurked in the shadows, a malevolent presence that seemed to feed on their fear and despair. Determined to uncover the truth behind the McDonald's dark secret, the friends split up, each venturing into different parts of the restaurant in search of answers. But the deeper they delved into the darkness, the more they realized that they were treading on dangerous ground. They encountered strange symbols etched into the walls, arcane artifacts hidden in the shadows, and otherworldly beings that defied description. Each step brought them closer to the heart of the mystery, but also closer to the brink of madness. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, they stumbled upon a hidden chamber concealed beneath the floor of the kitchen. Inside, they found a portal to another realm, a realm of darkness and despair ruled by a malevolent entity known only as the Shadow King. Realizing the danger posed by the Shadow King and his minions, the friends knew that they had to act quickly to stop him before he could escape into the mortal world and unleash his reign of terror upon humanity. With a mixture of courage and desperation, they confronted the Shadow King in a final showdown that would determine the fate of not only the McDonald's but the entire city. The battle raged on for hours, each side unleashing their most powerful spells and incantations in a bid for supremacy. But in the end, it was the friends' unwavering determination and loyalty to each other that proved to be their greatest strength. With a final burst of energy, they banished the Shadow King back to the realm from whence he came, sealing the portal behind him and restoring peace to the McDonald's once and for all. As dawn broke over the city, the friends emerged from the restaurant, exhausted but victorious. They knew that their lives would never be the same again, but they also knew that they had faced their fears and emerged stronger for it. And as they walked away from the McDonald's, they couldn't help but feel a sense of pride knowing that they had saved not only themselves but countless others from a fate worse than death. For in the end, it is the bonds of friendship and the power of hope that can overcome even the darkest of nightmares. As the friends emerged from the McDonald's, the first rays of dawn illuminated the city streets, casting long shadows that seemed to fade into the light. They exchanged weary smiles, their hearts heavy with the weight of the night's events, but also filled with a sense of accomplishment knowing they had faced the darkness and emerged victorious. But their victory was short-lived, for as they turned to leave, they were greeted by a sight that sent chills down their spines. The McDonald's, once decrepit and abandoned, now stood before them in pristine condition, its golden arches gleaming in the morning light as if nothing had ever happened. Confusion and fear gripped the friends as they approached the restaurant, their footsteps echoing off the pavement in an eerie rhythm. Had their battle with the Shadow King been nothing more than a fever dream, a trick of the mind brought on by the darkness that lurked within the McDonald's? As they crossed the threshold and entered the restaurant once more, they were met with a familiar sight: the same cheerful decor, the same enticing aroma of freshly cooked burgers and fries. But something was different, something that sent shivers down their spines and made their blood run cold. The patrons seated at the tables were no longer human, but instead were twisted and distorted, their features contorted into grotesque parodies of humanity. Some had elongated limbs, while others had eyes that glowed with an otherworldly light. And at the center of it all stood the Shadow King, his dark form looming over the restaurant like a specter of death. With a sinking feeling in their hearts, the friends realized that their battle with the Shadow King was far from over. He had returned, more powerful than ever, and now he sought to claim not only the McDonald's but the entire city as his own. Summoning their courage, the friends prepared to face their nemesis once more, knowing that the fate of the city hung in the balance. They rallied their strength and called upon every ounce of magic at their disposal, determined to banish the Shadow King back to the realm from whence he came once and for all. The battle that followed was like nothing they had ever experienced before, a fierce and desperate struggle between light and darkness, good and evil. Spells flew, weapons clashed, and the very fabric of reality seemed to warp and shift with each passing moment. But despite their best efforts, the friends soon found themselves overwhelmed by the Shadow King's dark power. With a triumphant roar, he unleashed a wave of darkness that engulfed them, dragging them down into the depths of despair. As they struggled against the suffocating darkness, a voice echoed in their minds, a voice filled with sorrow and regret. It was the voice of the Shadow King, and as they listened, they realized the truth behind his twisted actions. He was not a creature of pure evil, but instead a being tormented by his own loneliness and longing for companionship. Trapped in the realm of shadows for eons, he had sought to escape his prison by luring unsuspecting souls into his domain, but in doing so, he had only perpetuated his own suffering. Filled with compassion, the friends reached out to the Shadow King, offering him the one thing he had longed for most: friendship. And in that moment of connection, the darkness that had consumed him began to recede, replaced by a glimmer of light and hope. With a final burst of energy, the friends banished the darkness from the McDonald's once and for all, sealing the Shadow King's prison and restoring peace to the city. And as they emerged from the restaurant, they knew that their bond had grown stronger than ever, forged in the crucible of battle and tempered by the fires of compassion. From that day forth, the McDonald's stood as a symbol of unity and friendship, a testament to the power of love and understanding to overcome even the darkest of nightmares. And though the memories of their ordeal would linger forever in their minds, the friends knew that they had emerged from the darkness stronger, wiser, and more united than ever before. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting its warm glow over the city, the friends stood outside the McDonald's, their hearts heavy with the weight of their recent trials, but also buoyed by the knowledge that they had emerged victorious once more. With a sense of purpose, they made their way through the city streets, spreading word of their victory and offering comfort to those who had been affected by the Shadow King's reign of terror. They knew that their battle was not yet over, but they also knew that as long as they stood together, they could face whatever challenges lay ahead. In the days that followed, the friends found themselves hailed as heroes by the people of the city, their bravery and selflessness celebrated far and wide. But amidst the accolades and praise, they remained humble, knowing that their victory had come at a great cost and that there were still those who needed their help. Determined to make amends for the suffering they had endured, the friends dedicated themselves to rebuilding the community and restoring hope to those who had lost it. They volunteered at shelters, organized charity events, and reached out to those in need, their actions serving as a beacon of light in a world still haunted by shadows. But even as they worked to rebuild the city, they could not shake the feeling that their battle with the Shadow King was far from over. They knew that he lurked in the shadows, biding his time and waiting for the opportunity to strike once more. And so, they remained vigilant, honing their skills and preparing for the inevitable confrontation that lay ahead. For they knew that the darkness would always linger in the corners of the world, but as long as they stood together, they would never be afraid to face it head-on. And as they stood side by side, watching the sun sink below the horizon, they knew that no matter what trials awaited them in the days to come, they would face them with courage, strength, and the unwavering bond of friendship that had carried them through the darkest of nights. For in the end, it is not the darkness that defines us, but the light that shines from within. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, life in the city began to return to normalcy. The scars left by the Shadow King's reign of terror slowly healed, replaced by a newfound sense of hope and resilience among the people. The friends, now hailed as guardians of the city, continued their efforts to rebuild and protect their community. They worked tirelessly to strengthen bonds between neighbors, foster unity among diverse groups, and ensure that no one felt alone in the face of adversity. But despite their best efforts to move forward, the memory of their encounter with the Shadow King lingered in the back of their minds, a constant reminder of the darkness that lurked just beyond the horizon. They knew that their victory had been temporary, and that the Shadow King would not rest until he had exacted his revenge. And so, they remained ever vigilant, keeping a watchful eye on the shadows and preparing for the day when the darkness would once again threaten to engulf the city. They trained relentlessly, honing their skills and mastering ancient magics passed down through generations, knowing that they would need every advantage they could muster in the battles to come. But as they prepared for war, they also took solace in the moments of joy and camaraderie they shared with each other and the people they had sworn to protect. They laughed and celebrated together, finding strength in each other's company and drawing courage from the bonds of friendship that bound them together. And then, one fateful night, their worst fears were realized. The shadows stirred, and the air crackled with dark energy as the Shadow King emerged from the depths of his prison, his eyes burning with hatred and malice. With a roar that shook the very foundations of the city, he launched his attack, unleashing a horde of twisted creatures upon the unsuspecting populace. The friends sprang into action, their weapons at the ready and their hearts filled with determination. The battle that followed was unlike anything the city had ever seen. Spells flew, swords clashed, and the air crackled with the clash of magic and steel. But despite their valiant efforts, the friends found themselves outnumbered and outmatched by the Shadow King's forces. Just when it seemed that all hope was lost, a voice rang out from the darkness, a voice filled with courage and determination. It was the voice of the people of the city, rallying behind their guardians in a show of solidarity and strength. With renewed vigor, the friends fought on, drawing strength from the unwavering support of those they had sworn to protect. And as the battle raged on into the night, they knew that no matter what the outcome, they would never give up the fight against the darkness that threatened to consume them all. For in the end, it is not the battles we win or lose that define us, but the courage and resilience we show in the face of adversity. And as long as there are those who are willing to stand up and fight for what is right, the light will always prevail over the darkness.